This is the best ARM SBC I think I've used to date. This will be a daily driver for me now, and I'm thoroughly impressed. Like, I don't know how to express how good this is. Hey everyone, how are you going today? We have a completely new product range that we've never looked at before. Now, these are probably very familiar looking boxes to you, and that confused me, but this is ArmSoM. Now, I'd never heard of this brand, and they reached out to me, and then I looked into them, and I was like, wow, their products actually look really good. I can't believe I hadn't heard of them, and now that I have heard of them, I'm seeing them pop up more and more, which is excellent. They were generous enough to send us a few things to test out. We've got a compute module, Forge1, P2 Pro, Sige7, an I/O board, and a mystery box. Now, I think what we're going to do, this isn't sponsored by ArmSoM. They did send this to me for free. They're not paying for me to make this video though, and this will be exactly what you get, essentially. So if you're going to buy their products, you're going to experience the same thing as I do. That's how I like my videos to go. If you do like that style of video, feel free to like and subscribe, because that helps me know that that's what you like. We are going to tier list these as well. So as we test them out, we're going to rate them from, A through F or even S, and we'll put them on the tier list. If you haven't seen that before, it's over on the computer at sbctierlist.com. So if I jump over here, you can see as we're testing out different SBCs, they end up here. And we've had no C's or D's yet. I think they'll happen in time, but we've had a few good S's too. So once we've gotten into these, we'll test them out, have a look at their images, documentation, capabilities, specs, availability, price, reliability, give them a ranking, stick them on there, and you'll see at the end what I think of them. Now, because we've got so many different devices here, I'm only going to start with 2 this time, and I'll probably spread this over at least 2 videos. And what I'm thinking is the Forge1 and the Sige7. I know a few people have been wanting to see that. So the P2 Pro, I asked for them to send just for me because I'm very excited about that. That's a compute module. That's the board for it. And I'll leave what I'm assuming, let's have a quick look, is a camera until next time as well. Yep, that's a stock standard little camera with a FPC. And I should probably turn off autofocus about now too. So we'll stick these side over there, and we'll have a look at the mystery box before we get into it. Sounds metally. Oh, okay. Oh, that is nice. Okay, so this is a case, I'd assume, for the Sige7. Well, I don't know if anyone saw my last video about looking for an SBC that might do everything that I want, but I like this case enough that I might try using it, and we'll see why when we get into this. Sweet, that is a really, really nice case. And all your accessories. So let's tidy up, maybe get a mat to put this down on, look into the specs, and then try one out. Hold tight, back in a sec. So starting with the Forge1, you can see here it's actually got the RK3588, which we've come across before with some other vendors, and we know it's actually a really, really solid processor. I enjoy using it, and I use it for quite a fair bit of stuff, mostly display output. And you can see this has the display connector there, so they're aiming in that direction, but they've got an industrial aim as well. SoC, DDR3, some CAN and RS485 interfaces, which is pretty good, and RTC battery, but without its own dedicated connector. Dual 10100, you got 12 volt DC barrel jack. I don't know if it's got USB Type-C. It's got a Type-C programming, oh yeah, and DC, so it can be powered by either. Good for industrial to have both. Credit card form factor, SPI flash, and micro SD. Now, what's the price like? If we have a look here, geez, 32 bucks, and it's got 512 meg NAND on board. That's actually really, really well priced. Now, I don't stock this one, but I'd consider stocking that, especially if this, performs as well as it looks. I've got an AliExpress store as well. They do have a note about the US customs, but yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Makes me pretty happy. If we just have a quick look, let's see what resources they've got. So we have our product menu and a very familiar looking documentation platform. Straightforward there with all of the specs. There's our 2-lane MIPI DSI as we expected. It does have microphone as well, which is quite excellent. It's compatible with your standard Pi 2 40-pin header there. I think that's wrong, or at least that's different to last time. And they've got a build root image for it. They've got the SDK, they've got links to Google Drive, and they've got their schematics. And what is that? So 5 volt 2 amp, 12 volt 1 amp, so we expect it to max out around 10 watts. Let's have a look. So they have 3D models, top and bottom, SMD and schematic. What sort of schematic do we have here? We have a 21-page schematic with every bloody connector and interface. All right, that's excellent. What's SMD? And all the SMD footprints. Quite nice. So they've got some good stuff there. And then what do we got? If we go to our Forge1 software, all right, we've got some software there. So don't know what it comes with, but I've downloaded that one already. They've got a, oh, they had. They've got a GitHub repo or account too, which looks like it's got some activity going on. So let's just quickly see if they've got a Forge repo. Yep. All right, so they've got a repo just for the 3506 with all the details. Excellent. Looks like it's just a copy of their stuff there. 23 bucks is really, really good. So I want to see what this thing can do. And this is competing with a few other products that I sell, but I mean, no two products are really exactly the same, are they? So we've got a pretty solid credit card form factor here. It's designed to be very Raspberry Pi 2 compatible, it looks like, especially with the spacings there. The pins for all those connectors are definitely a little bit different, but I don't have any issue with it. Type C and Type A, dual 10100s. It is very industrial, so I quite like that. Now this is very interesting, and I touched on this before. Now I haven't asked them, but you can see here, let's just go a little bit closer, that logo. So that's your ArmSoM logo, and that's your Banana Pi logo. If we have a look, that's the Banana Pi box, and that's the ArmSoM box. So there's some collaboration going on there, which I actually like to see. I like to see companies work together because ultimately I think everyone wins when they do that. So we do have some collaboration, and we do then have a bit more confidence in the board off the bat as well, in my opinion. Dual power inputs is quite nice for me, and looking at the board, it's quite well designed. It's very tightly packed. You've got your mask ROM key there, but I don't see anything obviously wrong. It looks very sturdy, even the way that Ethernet ports are attached. Solder looks excellent. Yeah, I don't foresee that we'd have any issues with this. Now, I don't know what image it's got on it. I'd expect it's going to have an image on there. I'd hope so. So what we'll probably do is plug it straight into the computer with the USB Type-C and see if we've got that typical rock chip SDK ADB ability to get into it. And then we'll probably just run some basic tests and benchmarks and have a look at what it does, because this is a standard embedded small device. It's not something that'll be used as a desktop computer. It's designed to operate a display. It might be for commercial signage. It might be human machine interface, like touch interaction for controlling something. Probably really good just as, you know, a basic home assistant display if that's what you're doing, but it's got LVGL support, so you can build applications without needing a desktop user interface that will run and output to the display, as I've shown before when I got Doom going. So I'm going to plug this in now, we'll boot it up and see what happens. All right, so plugging it in, we just have a ridiculously bright green LED. I don't know if you can tell, but that is blindingly bright. And that's it. We don't have a heartbeat LED. I can't see any user LED that's on. I would actually like to turn that one off because that is so bright. But that's it. So let's jump over to the computer and ADB shell it. Here we are. So okay, ADB shell. Yeah, straight in. Excellent. All right, let's look at the standard stuff. What have we got set up? We have 512 meg of RAM as we expected. No swap setup. That's very nice. We have a 6.1 kernel. Now, claps for that. That makes me very happy. I love newer kernels. 6.1 or up makes me happy. What else have we got? DF-H. So we have our very confusing, this is running off SPI flash. Now, if we go back and have a look here, it's actually, okay, now it's got 512 meg NAND. Let's see how it goes. If I just plug in Ethernet to it and we don't do anything else, what do we got here? There we go. So that pretty quickly did what it needed to do. And it's got, yeah, it's pulled all the stuff that it should have. So it's not using any crappy hard-coded name servers. We've got a 6.1 kernel. We've got the RAM. We've got the RAM that we expected. We do have this NAND. Now, what I'm guessing with this is that this is going to be the NAND flash, and it's just not expanded, but UBIFS is usually going to be SPI flash. So I'm very curious about that NAND flash. So let's come back to the camera and let's do what we know we need to do. So we're gonna hold down that button and, oh, you know what? The image I got for this, I'm pretty certain was actually, that's .image. So that might be for an SD card. So you've got a Squash FS, UBFS, Thunderboot, whatever these are. Then you've got buildroot lvgl.image. That, okay, no, that's the SD card one. That's the NAND one. So this is 2025-05. So this is a fairly recent image too. Let's do this and we'll see if the image is any different. So we'll plug that in whilst holding it down, give it another second or two, then let go. And back over on the desktop, we've of course lost that connection, but if we go in downloads and upgrade tool, let's just CD into that first. And if we go upgrade tool, we can LD to list the devices. We can see that there. And then in theory, all we have to do is just UF to update firmware. And do I have it here? Forge1 builder image. Yeah, I mean, that maybe it should verify it. Yeah, that looks like it. That's the image. It's happy with that. So we're just going to flash it with this image, reboot, and see if it's any different. This, in theory, as far as I understand, would be writing it to that NAND flash, which should be different to the SPI flash. But I am a little bit confused. So DDR3, SPI flash. No, there's no other chip on there. So it must only be that 1 bit of flash storage. So this must be 512 meg, which is really big for SPI flash. The documentation might be slightly wrong, and I would be very curious because if we go back to that buy page, 512 meg just seems excessive. I'd expect 128, 256, but that's done. If we have a look at it again on the camera, the light's on and the Ethernet's ticking over, so that's rebooted. Let's ADB shell into it again and see if anything's changed. We still have that kernel built May 7. When was that other kernel built? If we scroll all the way back, May 7. All right, so it came with the most recent image, which is really quite interesting, and we've got the same flash storage there. So I'm not sure how to assess this, if this means it's actually 256 meg flash, or if this can be expanded. It's dev root mount on there, and it's, I'm very, very curious. I'll ask them about this before the next video. So we know what this is and we know what it does. It connects to a display and a network. It's got 2 Ethernet ports. You can use most Pi hats on there, I'd imagine. They've got the SDK available and you can go to your heart's content. It's designed industrially. It's got dual USB ports. It's got audio out and audio in. It's got display out and it's got 12 volt DC barrel jack as well. So solid little product. Especially for $23, that's an incredibly good little product for $23. So to quickly review this, if we're going to tier list it, features and specs. So known form factor, it's got good specs, especially with 512 meg of RAM and the RK3588-based SoC with dual Ethernet, Pi 2 header, display output, more than one Ethernet, more than one USB. So it's got really good capabilities there with 2 different storage options as well. And it's got RTC battery support, which you don't see often on the smaller SoCs like this. No PoE support though that I can see. So that's going to get, I've got to give it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm going to give it 4.5. I'll just write this down because for something industrial, PoE support would actually be really, really good. And it mustn't have it at all. There's no pins to add it on, but I also can't see any hardware to support PoE. So I'm going to say 4.5 stars, which is a great start. Documentation and support. So easy to navigate. Language was good. They've got Linux and Windows information, and they've got a GitHub repo with stuff in there. So I think the documentation and support, that's a 5 out of 5. As far as our software, images, variations, everything like that goes, there is a few variations. They do have the SDK available and it shipped with the most recent image, which was only a few months old. So I think that's quite good, especially with a 6.1 kernel. I would like to see some more variations. Not just having build root hurts a little bit. You can get Debian running on this. So I'm going to give them 4 out of 5 for that one. Performance and reliability. Now with something like this, it's actually quite hard to benchmark. I might run my testing Python ML benchmark on here if I get some time, but there's not much else you can do. It boots really quickly. I tested that. It didn't seem to heat up or crash or anything like that. But it is a small embedded processor, so it's not going to be highly performing anyway. I could probably turn on swap and get Geekbench to run. That would be cripplingly slow, but it might be fun. But for performance and reliability, especially with how nicely this is designed and even how nicely the PCB is cut, I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. Lastly, we have accessories and compatibility. So we have 2 different power methods, which is excellent. Let's just see if it supports USB PD. Yes, oh, yes, supports USB PD, it appears. I'm not sure if that fell back to USB 5 volts or if it used PD, but it at least works off my PD input. So it's got dual power input, no PoE, no camera support. That's inherent to the chip though. It's got 2 different storage options, including some sort of hefty SPI flash. It's got display output. It supports what I would imagine is most of your standard hats, as long as you can update the image to support them, because this pin configuration looks identical. Supports external things, and it looks like it'd fit some Raspberry Pi 2 style cases. So this thing again, accessories and compatibility, the lack of PoE, camera can't really say much about. You could have put a second USB port on there, and you're limited to 10100 Ethernet, but I don't think that's such an issue. It also doesn't have Wi-Fi, but also not such an issue. Wi-Fi for industrial applications is a bit of a no-no usually. So that's going to give it a 4 out of 5 as well. And that, across the board, if we're looking at accessories, compatibility, performance, reliability, software images, firmware, documentation, support, features, specs, that's going to be an A-tier product from me. There's a little bit more to be improved on the hardware side, so there might be a Forge 2, which improves on that. So that would be second USB port, maybe gigabit Ethernet, breaking out separate RTC battery connector, possibly changing the flash configuration or the options there, and adding PoE. It's pretty close to getting that top tier already. Now, moving on, we're going to have a look at the Sige7. And this is one that I'm really curious about, especially because I think that's what this case is for. And the Sige7 looks OP. So let's have a quick look at the device itself. And then we'll get on and have a look at the price and the specs. And I can already see, oh, okay, slight failure here. The seam is along there and the tear point is there. So tearing this open doesn't actually get you into it. I'm going to use the old teeth trick. Oh my God, I just failed at that too. Let me get my scissors. There we go. This is a very, very nice looking board. We get up a bit closer. We have a very good design there as far as I can see. So we've got the same Banana Pi and ArmSoM logo. We've got Wi-Fi here, so that's AP6275P. We've got our reset and masker on buttons, power button. I'm assuming that's going to be a standard Pi 2 header. It looks like it's 40 pins, 2.54mm spacing. We've got our Ethernet ports embedded here in a nice way. Like, this is really, really paying attention to the Z-axis, which is pretty cool. HDMI, USB 2.0 and 3.0. We've got some connectors here that are a bit more standard. So we've got HP out, whatever that is, fan and VRTC. We've then got Type-C and DC in ports there. So yeah, multiple USB Type-C and Type-A, USB 3.0 on the back. There's some big magnetics here. We've got 2 connectors there that look like they're going to be for MIPI CSI for a camera, MIPI DSI, I'll assume. M.2 connector, that is excellent to see. And you've got your SD card slot. So they've packed a lot on here. And of course, you've got your RK3588. That is a very powerful SoC, which can do a lot of cool stuff. I've actually been looking for something really similar to this. Now, I might end up using the CM5, but I might end up using this as my new Docker host, which was unexpected. I didn't even plan that when they reached out. And this purple case, this beautiful purple case, is just an added bonus. So, all right. And have a look at that. The way this is designed, it looks like, is that there's this cooling block which aligns with where that will go. So it goes in base first, it looks like. Which way around does it want to go? Probably USB ports. A little bit fiddly here, but I will figure it out. Maybe just straight down. Is that what I'm getting wrong? Does it want to go? No, it definitely needs to go this end in first, because those stick out quite a bit. So let's see if we can line that up. Yep, there we go. Slot it down. That is very, very nice. We've also got Wi-Fi port there. We've got a hole for our LEDs. All right, I'm going to assemble this with everything it comes with, which includes something very strange looking here. Oh, excellent. It's all right. So they even give you all the tools that you need. So you got your little screwdriver, but they've got this multi-tool here, which can also undo or do up the little risers. So I'm just going to assemble this with the heat sinks and the Wi-Fi antennas and everything, and then we'll boot it up and we'll see what we get. Back in a tick. Alrighty, there it all is, fully assembled and looking beautiful. It's labeled LAN and WAN for router ports there, but you can see it went together nicely. I just had a minor issue trying to get the cables, the antenna cables routed around so they didn't get pressed in between the SoC and the heatsink. But that's fanless too, which I quite like. Very nice design. And I just haven't put these pads on the bottom yet, because if I like this, I'm probably going to want to put a M.2 SSD in there, NVMe. And I noticed you can't get to the mask ROM buttons, which is a little annoying. It'd be cool if there's a little hole to poke through if need be. But otherwise, if I need to image it, we'll just use an SD card for now. Now, judging by the box, this is 32 gig of RAM and 128 gig SSD already on board, which is mammoth. That is awesome. And it does come with a spare thermal pad and screws and risers, which is excellent. So what we'll do now, I'm very excited, but I'm very worried about how good or bad this is going to be. I want it to be awesome. We're going to plug it in and see what happens. So I'll do it with HDMI first. We'll go HDMI in there. We'll give it some network, just in case it comes with an Ubuntu image that doesn't like not having network connection. And I'll power it up with this USB-C PD so we can see roughly what it's drawing to start with. Now, I think my HDMI capture is plugged back in, so let's go over to that and see what happens when I plug it in 3, 2, 1, plugged in. I've got a little red light that's come on the back, the one that's labeled R. I've got nothing on the light that's labeled G yet. So we'll give it a moment, and I will have to make sure that my capture card is working today, because I have been messing with the drives and trying to solve a lot of things. But I've got nothing else going on here, and I'm not getting Ethernet lights or anything, so I would assume that there's nothing on it. All I'm getting, if you have a look, is just red. What we can try doing though, assuming there's nothing on it, it might just boot straight into a failsafe mode and allow us to flash it without having to press the mask ROM button. If it does, that would be excellent. What we can do in the meantime though is have a look at the website for it. And before we get into this website, I do want to tell you about one other website that do awesome stuff like this, and that's PCBWay, the sponsor of today's video. They're continuing to sponsor this channel and support us because they seem to like what we're doing, or what I'm doing, and I definitely like what they're doing. I just ordered some more rules from them that are coming out soon, but they do have a whole pile of promotions on at the moment, including a new contest. So they're doing a mascot design contest, and you can win up to $500 cash. So if you're into 3D printing and 3D modeling like CAD or CAM, then you should join using the link that I'm putting below to submit your reference, submit your entry into this competition. So you can win 500 bucks. There's bound to be runner-up prizes, and it's a really good community to be a part of, but mainly they support this channel, and I hugely appreciate that. The other people that support this channel are my patrons. So if you want to support me yourself, please feel free to come check it out. You can join for free and you get odds and ends, but if you support it, you get a little bit more, and it starts pretty cheap too. So from $3 US or $4 a month Australian, you get early access, recognition, general support, you get to chat with me, that sort of stuff. But then the more you pay, the more you get, of course. The main thing is it keeps these videos going, and it's really, really appreciated. So thank you to all of you patrons and to PCBWay for this. Moving on though, the specs of that. So RK3588 8K support, dual 2.5 gig. That's insane. We've got our onboard GPU, 6 TOPS NPU, solid unit LP DDR4X. Now apparently I've got a 32 gig one, which it doesn't show as an option here. 40 pin header, everything we pretty much already found already. And we were correct about dual MIPI CSI and the MIPI DSI. Now, judging by their small pin spacing, these are probably going to be quad lane, and I'm hoping it's PCIe 3.0, but let's go to the documentation. So docs. In the meantime, we'll go download and have a look at what we've got. AI SBC, they're calling it. So hardware encoding and decoding, excellent specs there. And I have the DSI information here, or CSI. That is, yep, quad lane like I thought. So dual quad lane is really, really quite amazing. This looks like, there we go, so you can get a 32 gig model, a really powerful implementation of the RK3588, which is already something that I quite like. And if we go through to the Sige7 software, we have, here we go, so Debian Bullseye XFCE, eMMC, Android, and they've got pre-installed. These are .image.exe though, so these ones are going to be meant for an SD card. These ones are for the eMMC. There's nothing on there now though. I did try to already download one. What one did I download? Okay, I got what looks like one of the right ones. We do have an SD card image in case we need it. So I'm going to extract this. Oh, we first need to know if, ooh, that's wigging out. No, so how can we put this in flash mode without disassembling it? All right, so what we'll do then is we'll do the SD card. So that will be, what do we got here? Server, let's go with the desktop. When I benchmark it, I'll do it with the server. But for now, media owner exFAT CD ArmSoM unXZ, and I want this one. Paste. Whoop. That. So that's extracting. We're going to want the disk's utility to do this with, and I'm just going to stick in a 64 gig SD card, one of my standard HP ones that I have for stock in the shop if you need any. They are very fast and very reliable. Who knows what I've got on here? So we'll want to restore disk image, make sure that isn't finished. When that's done, we'll restore that. Whilst we wait for that to extract, the last question then is the price, $142 starting at. That is very excellent. So the basic 8 gig, 64 gig eMMC, that is more than enough for most, and 142 US is quite excellent. We've got the Pro Max, so that's the one I've got here, 32 gig and 128 gig. This is, yeah, a powerful little device. I'm excited. There's a bit of trepidation though. AliExpress is showing me Australian pricing, which is why it's a little bit more. And I'd assume that in their shop, you can also get the case for it. So products, view all products. Yeah, there we go. So they've got a few DIY cases there. I am not complaining about that at all. That's nearly extracted. We'll flash it using disks with the restore option, and then I'll put it in and boot it up. I'll be back in a tick once that's ready. All right, that's all ready to go, but I was thinking about how familiar these images looked, or the names, and you know, I downloaded them, but I don't recall downloading them from here. And what I've realized is they're actually hosting Joshua Riek's version. So these are the ones that you'd typically want to use for Frigate, and as a Docker container, if you want to make use of the RKNPU or RKNN SoC capability. So that's the 6 tera operations per second power that it's got there. So they're actually hosting a copy there, which is quite excellent. I don't know if they attribute it in the documentation, but if we go, yep, all right, sweet. So they list heaps of third-party systems, and yeah, that's the Ubuntu Rock chip there. So it is awesome that they support third-party. I see there's some similarities there, which you might have already known about, but they do have their own images too. What we've just flashed it with, of course, is Joshua Riek's Ubuntu desktop for the Siege 7. So this is inserted here. It's nice flush SD card insertion. And we'll go back to our HDMI and then plug the power in again. So HDMI, power, and we'll see if, there we go. We instantly get a green light as well. So I know something different's happening. It's supposedly picked up the SD card and will be booting. Whether or not we get a HDMI image with my capture card that's been having problems is the other question. All right, there we go. All right, the red light turned off. I've just got the green light now whilst it boots up. You're seeing it real time, I think. I don't know if I'll speed this part up. There's still no heartbeat light, but it seems like the red light is when it's in U-boot. The green light is when it's in the OS, which is quite interesting, but I'm not going to complain about that. What I will do is I'll grab my USB keyboard and mouse so we can have a bit of a twiddle with this one. Just plugging that in whilst it finishes booting. And yep, that's all working. Oh, we've got a full setup. All right, so this is out of the box experience. Let's quickly fly through this, and then we'll have to test its proper boot speed. So in theory, it's going to be writing stuff to the disk. It's going to be automatically expanding to use all of the SD card space and doing a few little things because it is first boot. It's fresh out the box, like a Windows install almost, but Ubuntu. It's not the sort of image that you sometimes see where you boot up and you've got to use their username and their password. Like Armbian used to do that. The newer Armbian images have that out of box experience, but this is kind of what you want. This is a full usable, essentially a full desktop computer experience. And right now it's only drawing 2.5 watts as well, which is phenomenal. So I'm going to call this owner Sige7, and I'm just going to set some basic ass password that really doesn't matter. It's basically pass1234. So that's configuring its accounts, its sudo access, its time zone, its keyboard input, and all of that now. And we'll come back to it in a moment when it's done and actually look at what it does, including testing out the GPU. All right, that's completed and it's all good to go. It took about 2 or 3 minutes, normal post-installation sort of stuff. So what we're going to do now is unplug it and we'll time it to some degree. Count along if you can, or I might put a thing along here somewhere. We'll see. So HDMI plugging in 3, 2, 1, in. Now straight away I've got the red and green lights on. This is going to be in U-boot, I'm imagining. We're not looking at any UR output today though, so I'm not entirely sure. U-boot's got a little bit of a process to go through. It might be even before that. Now it's just green light. There we go, that's booting. So let's see just how long this takes. That seemed good. That was definitely less than 60 seconds. I'm very certain it was less than 60 seconds. The UI is very responsive then. I didn't see any lag or any graphical issues. This feels fantastic. None of that, please. This is Alt F4. This is why I hate Ubuntu, by the way. I don't care about any of that crap. I don't want any of your commercial stuff. I understand it's how I run your business, but I'd download the commercial version or I'd pay for it if I wanted it. So we have 32 gig of RAM and a gig of swap. I don't even know what the point of that 1 gig of swap is there. 6.1 kernel. I wonder if there'll be some updates to that. So immediately we've got Ethernet. We'll have a look at that in a tick. Let's just sudo for a moment. So we go df-h. We have our 64 gig SD card there. We go LS block, we can see as well, there is that 128 gig MMC block 0 there that we can make use of. So I could even write to that from here. That wouldn't be a problem, but we'll use the SD card for testing until I'm completely happy. So we've got 6.1 kernel. Did we see? Yeah, we've got our Ethernet interface, both Ethernet interfaces. We've got our wireless interface as well. That's got, whoop, there we go. I want to join Wi-Fi. Oh, that one. Yep, good signal. So if we join Pi-Fi, that is Pi-Fi 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'll do is ping google.com, that's working. Cat etc resolve.conf is looking happy. This is, you know, of course, this is a third-party image, but everything seems really good so far. Do we have some gel mark? No. All right, so let's do apt update and apt upgrade on that. We'll see if we get a newer kernel out of it as well. In the meantime, let's test out using a web browser, because so far this is responding really nicely like a desktop computer, just a little bit slower because off the SD card. The MMC would be, or the eMMC would of course be a fair bit faster than the SD card, but these SD cards do about 200 megaseconds, so they're not bad at all, and we do know Chromium is quite bloated. If I even clicked it correctly the first time, I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what it wants to update here. And this video is getting a bit longer, but that's how this one's going to go. So I might cut this bit out, I might not. We'll see in the end, but I've got a feeling I might just leave it as a little bit longer. Whoa, that is some updates. All right. So that is by no fault anything to do with ArmSoM. This is Joshua Riek's image, and he of course is doing this out of love. He's not doing them to, you know, because we pay him to do it. So this image isn't going to be 100% up to date. There are going to be updates to do, and even the ArmSoM image, unless you roll your own, there's going to be updates almost always when you first boot to it. So it's getting a little bit warm, but I'd say it's like 25 degrees. It's just above ambient, and it's only drawing 2.4 watts at the moment. So it's doing really well. I'm not sure what the issue with Chromium browser is though. We'll just quickly see what happens in... All right, we have done all the updates now and we've rebooted. So let's see how Chromium goes on first launch. I'm very curious. This is nothing... Yeah, sweet, that works fine. This is Joshua Riek's image. Remember, this is not ArmSoM. We're just testing it all out together. Let's go Chrome, whoop, GPU, and see what we get there. All right, we've got a lot more than I expected. That's bloody good. All right, so that means basemark WebGL should work. And let's go youtube.com/@PlatimaTinkers and see. This just feels like a desktop computer to me. This feels like my laptop at work. It's about 5 years old, so it's not the fastest thing, but yeah, this is snappy and fast and instant and everything works a bloody treat. Am I actually using 4K? I don't have 4K capture. So this, yeah, this worked amazingly well. I'm genuinely surprised at how good not only this device is, but Joshua's image, which has Ubuntu with desktop or server. It's got the RK3588 drivers and code and everything to be able to make use of that. It's got all the GPU stuff that works. It works out of the box. It's got the out-of-box setup sort of experience, like really good image and really good software and a really cute case, and just everything works. I'm loving this so far. So let's go back and yeah, everything's testing fine. I think the next one is probably one of the hardest ones. It's got a 3D scene that I believe it downloads, but I don't see this having any issues whatsoever. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll let this finish. We'll get the score out of it, but we don't need to be looking at it. We don't need to watch that. We've seen everything that I think we need to see as far as this awesome little device goes. So let's give it a quick ranking, really. We've got a standard form factor, really good CPU, really good RAM. It's got eMMC, the GPU works, the Wi-Fi works, the Ethernet works. The GPIOs we're not testing, the case doesn't expose them, but they're stock standard. Everything's got GPIOs. The GPU is the G610, Mali G610, which works. It supports an SD card and M.2, and it has a whopping, what was 128 gig eMMC on board. I think there was an RTC battery slot. We saw that. It's got the 6 TOPS NPU, does up to 8K, MIPI DSI and CSI. That's quad lane CSI as well. Just no PoE support. I checked the docs and there's no PoE. So out of 10 things, it's lacking 1. Geez, that's as close as I think it's ever going to get. Documentation includes all the schematics, information for Mac, Windows, Linux. It's very clear and concise. They've got the GitHub repo with all the SDKs and everything in there. So that's amazing. So for features and specs, I'm going to give it a 5. For documentation and support, I'm going to give it a 5. For software images, we've got a few variations. You've got the SDK. It's got a 6.0 kernel. They include third-party images. That's also a 5 as well. Performance and reliability worked out of the treat. Worked out of the box like a treat. GPU 2D and 3D appears to work. It hasn't crashed once. Wi-Fi signal was good. Ease of use was excellent. And that is partially the software, but they linked to Joshua Riek's image both in their Google Drive account and in their documentation. So I'm going to treat that pretty much as official. As far as power goes, it supports USB Type-C, and that's running power delivery at 12 volts, which is excellent. I haven't seen it draw more than 5 watts either, which is phenomenal. No PoE support, as I said. It's got great camera support, great storage support, display support through both the HDMI and the MIPI DSI interface, so great display support. It has at least official accessories as well. I'm assuming there's going to be third party because it's standard interfaces that it's using for everything. And it comes with this case. Not many actually come with a case. Banana Pi do, but they're usually those plasticky things. So this is phenomenal. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 across the board. The only improvement they could probably make is add PoE as an option and have it pre-flashed from the factory so you can just plug it in and go. And maybe move where these are. Like minimal stuff. This is the best ARM SBC I think I've used to date. This will be a daily driver for me now, and I'm thoroughly impressed. Like, I don't know how to express how good this is. 0 faults, including the ingenious no fan case design that's not even too hot to touch. My mind's blown. So let's see what it's actually doing now. Yep, it's just flying through this benchmark test without a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this running now. I'm going to let this test finish. I'm then going to use the server image so we don't have to deal with the GUI, or I might just stop the GUI. I'm going to Geekbench it so we've got those stats as well. And then we'll also see how the RK3588 implementation on this compares to that from some other vendors like Radshare and Luckfox and whatnot, because the implementation can vary slightly based on the PCB design. But in the meantime, I think we're going to call it there. These are going to go on the SBC tier list. I'd love to know what you think or what you want to see me test, because we'll do the second video with the CM5 and the P2 Pro, which I'm looking forward to tinkering with too. But I really appreciate you coming by, and I do want to also thank again, I haven't got mouse or keyboard plugged into my computer, PCBWay. I'll stick their logo up there for being great sports and continuing to sponsor this channel, which means you get to see great stuff like this because it's worth my time to do, and especially to the patrons. So thank you all. If you want to become one, link below as well for that, and PCBWay. Thank you to you bunch of awesome legends for supporting the channel. It makes a hell of a difference. So this has been ArmSoM. This is the Sige7 and the Forge1. Great products that I've absolutely loved testing out, and hence this video is running long. Have had no issues with them and have ended up in A tier and S tier respectively. So thanks to ArmSoM as well for sending them. Should I keep them in stock? What would you use them for? What do you want to see tested? Let me know below, but this still blows my mind. So good. I'll catch you next time. Take it easy.